Afternoon, folks. We are back, and after some offline investigation into our graphs and stuff, we let it run for basically hours. Our array of data was going to get kind of big. So what I've decided is, and what I mentioned earlier, was to actually split the chart data into different time periods. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to create separate arrays for all the chart data. Okay, so we'll have temp chart data seconds, temp chart data minutes. We're going to have a look at these, so we'll make them visible to the editor for the moment. Then we're going to have hours. And finally, we shall have days. Okay. And with that in mind, we shall compile that, save all. And now what we need to do is go through our different functions which generate temp chart data and update them so that the data is now going into the individual arrays for each of the time periods. Okay, so the first one of them is remove after 2. And what we're going to do is instead of adding to data points, in fact these should not be temp chart data. We should be renaming these to data points seconds. Okay. So let's just update these quickly. Get this done. Data points, hours. Now, in the first instance, we don't need to actually do the graphs with these, but what we can do is we can run it and check the data as we do it. Okay. So for these, we're going to be adding data point seconds. Okay. And we can test this one first. Then we can gradually move through them. Then we can do the same with the actual graphs, and we aren't going to need to check what the actual graph is, or sorry, what the time period is, because we'll be pulling directly from a particular time period and the values in that time period. Okay. And actually, I've already done goofed, because this one should actually be data point minutes, because we are changing the minutes, the seconds to the minutes at for this particular function. Okay. So let's just update that to get it right. And this is actually going to end up data point seconds. Okay. So we need to find out where we update data points to data point seconds. Okay. And it's this one here. Eventually we'll get rid of data points altogether, and we shall just have the data point seconds, minutes, hours and days. That stays the same, and that stays the same. And we can now do a quick test on this. We'll call this arrays. Okay, that. And what we shall do is we shall hopefully get a box out because now we can have, well, it doesn't actually really matter, that's a box out anyway. And if you didn't watch the stream last night, we now have possible copper coming out as well. So what we shall do in the meantime is sort these all out, get our basic production line up, and spin them around, spin that around, spin that around, and while we're at it, turn that into that, turn that into that, save that, spin that around, and save. And then the next thing is to join this up. And we should now see in the controller under the game stack counter that our data point seconds is now going up. Okay. Which is exactly what we want. And there's nothing going into data points, which is exactly what we want. And now in actual fact, probably data points is, well, maybe it won't do anything. That's fine. I'm cool with that. But now, the remove after 2 this is going to be coming off data point seconds. And we know already that it's seconds, okay? So basically this can go. We can pretty much leave the rest of it. Okay. Now let's have a look. And let's actually try and start getting this right. Okay, there was those little issues, let's say. So let's take a first look at this and see what values we are getting. Okay, so if we look at our controller, our game stat counter, you can see here that this should go up to 23. Okay, at which point this one here is going to be 5. Okay. And we have nothing in data point minutes, which is weird. So that says false. So we have game time in seconds, 115. Okay, resume that. So we shouldn't have any yet. And there we go, data minutes. Okay. And this does not appear correct. Right, so there's a problem here. Somewhere along the line. And the problem is in here. Does minute data exist? Right, and that should be data point minutes. Okay. So we just need to work ourselves through this. And obviously this is going to be minutes. So we don't need that. Okay. So we can come to here. So we should only get one value back at this point, which is going to be either, well, it's going to be the box site. Okay. So can do that. And we can now check on our data here. And it's not series active. It's going to be data point seconds and data point minutes. Okay. And we can take it from that. Once that this works, we can update the hours. In fact, what we'll do is we shall update, once we've done the seconds and the minutes, we shall update the graphs. Okay. And that's what I'm expecting at the moment. And that's kind of what I'm expecting right there. Now, what I wasn't expecting (01) bauxite, that's iron ore. Iron ore. Okay, that's fine. Okay, that explains a lot. I was getting kind of worried there for a second, but no, that's correct. So what we can do now is we can start bringing the charts back in. Okay. So we drag in our seconds. We delete that. Didn't mean to do that. That was my left pinky hitting a button on the left hand side of the mouse there. Happens now and again. And for some reason it does something. That can go, that can go. This is going to make life a good bit simpler for the actual logic that's involved in this. Okay. So now our graph for the seconds should now be operational. Okay. So what we're basically saying here is all the groundwork that was done in the original code to make the graphs will still pretty much work, or will still work, but we just need to swap out the arrays that we're using. And now our graphs, when we return the data on our graphs, or the arrays that it's using will be much smaller, right? So whereas before we had one huge set of data, now we've got it split into 4 different sets of data. And when we try to draw the graph, instead of having to go through and sort through all the data, we actually only need to use the data that we're actually going to use. Okay? So in effect, everything should be actually faster. So if we now press the graph, our graph is back to working again. And working again much better. Now I'm going to stop it there, right? And I think that we basically should use this number here. Okay. And I think that that was giving us the issue as far as the little quirky ones that were going over the 120 and stuff like that. That is basically what I think the issue was there. Okay. Now let's run through and see if it actually does do that or not. So welcome to stream, guys. If you're new here, remember to hit the subscribe button. And if you've got any questions, let me know while we let this run to 2 minutes. And we'll see how this works out for us. And it would appear we have a problem. Particularly with bauxite, although it suddenly sorted itself out. Right. So we have to ask our question here. What actually is going on? So when we create the time, we're taking it from the game time, which we shouldn't be doing, okay? So let's stop this for now. Let's get this whole thing sorted out. And this is why we were getting the weird results from before. Okay? So we don't take this time. Okay, what we do is take total game time. And then we divide it by 5 and times it by 5 and get our value. Okay? So it might be a wise decision here to let's just stop this just now and let's get our save games and let's delete everything and start again. Okay, we want fresh values in here that are all in a line. Okay, they're all aligned, they're all in the right place, everything is coming from the same timestamp. So we shall get everything sorted out again. Testing does take quite some time. Right. So we'll spin these around. And once this one's ready, okay, then we'll save this. Okay, so you'll notice if we do a G, we get a little bit. Of something. And we can work away on this. We can now join these up. Okay. And now we can have a look at our controller and our values. And that's more like it, that we're not starting anywhere near right away. I'm not too keen on the fact it's doing that though. But we can do a graph. And that's wonky. Okay. So now running totals. Right, so that's okay. That's okay. Okay, so we have an issue here. And the issue is caused by this. So what we could do is we could delete this. we could say divided by 5 and multiplied right, wait a minute. Yeah, so we do need to do the truncate here. And I mean, we can do it multiplied by 5. And then divided by 5. Hey Kofi, how are you? I'm good. We're just trying to get to some final resolution with these, with the graphs. And now what's kind of happening is, yeah, we've got the game time here, which is good. Right, so that's good. Time is 300, time is 445. And we've got a quantity of 0 and a quantity of 1. 0. So if we do our you see, we should have been actually getting a graph here, even though it's nothing. So let's do something here. And get stuff back up running. We have copper ore. And that is weird. And now nothing is going to minutes, which is a bit of a disaster. So we have that minus that. So if this is greater than, okay, this should be the other way around. Right, because this is going to be mega false. Okay. Now, I don't know why. But this should go in here. And the next question would have to be, why is bauxite not going in there? We can disable that. As I said, this doesn't make for great viewing, but what it does make for is the reality of developing, in that it's not all sexy stuff, getting guns to shoot and doing all that stuff. There's a lot of stuff that is your basic calculations, equations, and just doing general housekeeping and stats and keeping stats and drawing stats for the player, etc., right? And that's just the reality of it. Now, what we want to do is have a look at this again. And in our stats, now this might still seem a bit weird. Why is this not? Right, so this isn't adding to data point seconds anymore. Okay. So that's 225, right? What? Alright, so that was ridiculous. this still doesn't seem quite right. Okay, so this is becoming a little bit infuriating. This is how you don't make any progress. Right, so if we go straight in here, and we go straight to our counter, that should be kinda right. Right, so this is 105, 105, 525, 105, right? So this is exactly what we want. Add to data point seconds. And we have our first add to data point seconds. Right? But it's getting jammed straight over into minutes. Okay? So we basically need to check this value here. So we know it was 105, okay? And we know it's 110. Right, so the total game time is 110 minus that. Okay. So it would appear that these are round the wrong way again. I'm quite getting confused about why. Right. Okay guys, I am going to grab a quick cigarette. I'm getting myself confused by what's going on. I'm going to refresh my mind. So if you're enjoying the stream, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, check the description, and I shall be back in 2 minutes. Don't go anywhere. Okay guys, we're back, and before we continue, just a quick update for you guys on the Champions League. So AC Milan beat Dynamo Zagreb 3-1, Shakhtar Donetsk drew with Celtic 1-1, and at half time it's Rangers 0, Napoli 0, Chelsea 0, Salzburg 0. In fact, everything's 0-0, Man City, Dortmund 0-0. The only games with goals are Juve 1-1 with Benfica and Maccabi Haifa 1-1 with PSG. So there you go, there's your Champions League update. Don't say we're not good to you. And on we go. So, back to checking this. Now, we have to do it with the continue, right? Because we have to do it from a saved point. Okay? It's as simple as that. Now, at that point, I don't actually know what this thing is actually adding. It's adding a copper ore of 0. Okay. And I believe that is because it's actually updating, right? It's not saving these arrays yet. So what it's doing is basically catching up with what it was already doing. Okay. So we can carry on with this. And that should about do it. And that's a bit wacky. Okay, so I have absolutely no idea what's going on here. Whatever it is completely beyond me what's going on here. We don't appear to be doing any bauxite whatsoever. So, I'll tell you what I think is going on here is the old save game issue. Right, I think there's something going on with the save game that's causing us problems. Okay. And what we shall do is we shall just create that. And work with it from there. Okay. So we should not be creating anything other than bauxite. And it does look like that was the issue. Which is a good thing. And what we shall do here is we'll enable it here. And we shall check out the data here. Okay. So let's see how this is looking. And here we have our first value times 0, bauxite 1, and we shall continue that. We shall disable this breakpoint and now the interesting thing here is it's going slightly okay, so we're getting one too many. Okay, now the issue here is when we actually generate the first number here. Right. This is giving us 290, which is right. Our problem that's 210. You see we've got a 234. Right, how can it possibly be 234? right? That's just not possible, or it shouldn't be possible. Now, I'm wondering, okay, this is an interesting problem. Can we do remainder? Yes, we can. So let's do this. We've got that. We divide it by 5. Right, we delete that. Delete that. And we get this number minus this number, and that goes in there. And now let's take a look and see if our numbers are all looking correct when we do it. We're going to do new game again. We need to check it up, check it in a new game. Okay. We're going to make sure it doesn't build anything else to confuse us. So we shall just do a storage container. And this is going to be our copper ore, obviously. Okay. I'm going to wait till this is activated. And immediately it starts producing, which is good. And we've got a time of 36. So how is that working? So that's 44. Eh? Well, that's rubbish. If we've got 44. Hey, Jamie, how are you? If we've got 44, right? The return value. I'm an idiot. Right, so we can basically press play here because we didn't actually create anything. Right. So we've got copper again. How are we getting on with Blender, Jammy? Are you still learning and doing stuff? So there is our first add. Okay. So now we're on 39, so we want 35 out of this. And that's what we get. Okay. I mean, there's 4, 35, superb. Right. So we can resume this and then draw our thing here. Then start producing more and hit up our graph and bring up our stats. So that's 75 and so we've got 35, 45. Yep, we're getting our divided by 5s now. We're not getting any weird numbers. So going by that, our calculation for remove after 2 should be working. Okay. So we can check this out. And we should be starting getting a number now. Right, so that should now jump in there. And that's absolutely fine. And this times 0, quantity 1, copper ore, blah blah blah. That looks good. Okay, disable that, resume that. And we should be getting... Right, I don't get this at all. This is getting very frustrating. The only thing I can think of here, right, is of course, if we say this is greater than or equal to that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put that in there. And the only thing here is if I go into the component counter, right, and we go to here, when we actually update stuff, right, the question is, how often are we actually so we're resetting this every 5 seconds, right? Now the thing here is what we shall do is we'll put a delay in here of 0.2 seconds. Okay. And I want to see the graph at this point. Right, that's what I wanted to see. So, hey Dresh, how you doing, mate? We are struggling away here with graphs and the timing of updates to arrays. Right, so now we do that, draw that, draw that, draw that, join them up, add some workers, and here we go. And now we should be able to look at the graph. And the bauxite's going well. And we just need to leave it for a couple of minutes. Let me get a drink of my Dr. Pepper. I'm not sponsored by Dr. Pepper. Wish I was, to be honest. Although, having said that, if you got free Dr. Pepper or Coke or whatever, you would soon be very, very sick of it. Right. So, if we go back to here, and our game stack counter, we are on 141 seconds, and this is at 60. So once this hits 180, we should be getting values in data point minutes. Right, we're close. And now data point minutes is good, and that should now gradually go up. And that is good. So this is looking pretty good. Yep, I'm quite happy with this at the moment. And yep, we should start getting our second one. Right, so we've got that should actually be minute 2 and minute 3. But we're not going to argue about that. Now this point 2 delay has actually added a little bit of ambiguity to this number, but I'm not going to worry about that because it will level out over time. Right, this is going to be pretty much insignificant once you actually get out of the seconds, right? Like, for example, we've only got 2 values at the moment. 3. Okay. But if you look at the minute one, we're getting nothing back, which is awesome. Awesome yet concerning in equal measures, I suppose. So if we look at return minute data, yeah, we've not actually updated this yet to be taken from the minute data. Oh well, never mind. Right, we can fix that in a second. But if we go back to our second data, yeah, that's looking good. That's looking good to me. So what we could do is make sure that we've got 2 of them working properly. Right, so we're going to hope for a copper. Which we didn't get, which is awesome. And we can hope for, there's our copper, that's better. So we can now put down our storage container. Okay, and if we join this up now, then we add some workers. Then we hit our graph. So there we go. Now we have got an issue here because we're not obviously drawing the boxes, right? So we need to solve that issue, but we're going to solve that issue in a moment. I just need a comfort break. I should be back in a minute. So while I'm off, hit the subscribe button, check out the description for other ways to support the channel. I'll be right back. Okay guys, so let's get this sorted out. In the grand scheme of things, little Champions League update. Let's have a look, see what the scores are. Oh, there's a shocker. Man City are getting beat by Borussia Dortmund at home 1-0. Chelsea have taken the lead against Salzburg, and Rangers are still 0-0 against Napoli. and Juve are being beaten at home by Benfica 2-1. And there's your Champions League update. There'll be about 15 minutes to go in those games. And what we want to do is delete that and pull in our minutes. And make sure everything is cool. We don't need that. We don't need that. And that goes in there. And temp chart data stays the same. Now we need to find out where our update graph is coming from, or going to, shall we say. Right, so we refresh series. Okay, so far we're okay. Okay. And we go back to here. And that's all okay. We can delete this stuff. We can delete this stuff. And this stuff. Right, but we need to know why it's not bringing back the data for the stats, right? So in here we're getting the series active. We're doing that, which is all fine. Right, but where we get DT items, but that's kind of not how we do it. Right, so it would be in here. Right, and we don't do that apparently. We kinda don't need that either. So the part we're worried about, right, is where we add all the series that we're going to use. Right, so it's not there either. So the question is, where is it? So it's going to have to be in here. And this is the interesting part. Oh, that's painful, Dante. That is a bit painful. And right, so what we're going to do is make array right. Interesting. Okay, so in theory here, we're going to have to do this array 4 times. Okay, so we're going to have a sequence. And we're going to have a local variable temp dps, right? Stating the obvious here, right? But have you tried opening your machine up and resetting your GPU and checking all the cables, etc.? I mean, it is a fairly obvious one, but you know, something that you can sometimes forget. So we're going to set this, each sequence, to a different set of these. So we're going to duplicate that, right? And then this is going to be an array. Does it light up or anything? So this isn't going to be data point seconds. Sorry, this is going to be data point seconds. Right? then it's going to go in here, delete, and then this is going to go in here, like a stone in a river. That sounds like some bullshit philosophy right there. So what you mean is it ain't working? We don't want to do that. We want to align this to the left. And this one's going to be DP minutes. Okay. And that's going to get set there. So yeah, in my country we would say it's buggered or knackered. And that's two of the more, how shall we say it, polite versions. So we plug that in there. Then we do this again. Except we change it to, we didn't want to do that. We get this one, and this is going to be data hours. Okay, and we're going to add 2 pins here, and this is going to go in 3. The hour is going to plug into here. Yeah, I was going to say, Dante, I've got other bad news for you, I'm afraid. Your missile video, or the stream with missile picture on the front is no longer in the top 2 of my videos. As I said, something weird went on that day, and the views have gradually went down, and it's no longer in the top 2. I think it's 3rd. So that is data days. And that goes in there. And to be quite honest, you know something? I should do these in reverse order. I should actually do these in reverse order. Because, and I'll tell you why. Because as you go through the game, right, I'm busy thinking of some more bad news for you, Dante. But anyway, the reason we should do this in reverse order is because anything that's been produced is liable to be in these buckets first after a certain amount of time, right? Whereas at the moment, we're having to go through all of these, all of these, all of these, and then all of these to get to the actual thing. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to reverse these, right? Because it's going to start off anyway where like the days and the hours are going to be empty. So it's just going to jump straight out. Oh, wait a minute. Wait a minute. So, in actual fact, we should have a step 5. And the step 5 should be that. I believe. I mean, this should work straight away anyway, if my theories are correct, which by all means they might not be. Right? And have I literally just screwed that up completely on the first attempt? It would appear so. This is doing a bit weird stuff again. Right. Right, wait a minute. Just hang on a god darn minute. This should not go here. Right, this should go here and not do anything else. Right, it's getting very, very hot and humid where I am right now. I can feel the I can actually feel the heat from the humidity grow up, gradually going up and up, and I'm gradually sweating more and more. I can literally feel it. Okay, so we're going with towel on head. Right. So L, lots of L's for more workers. And we're getting all of our stuff. right? But it isn't quite working yet. And I believe that what we had before is probably the best solution. And my problem at the moment is I'm kind of trying to make short-term solutions to things, whereas I should go for the obvious long-term solution here. In that, I should make an array of things that have or have not been produced yet, and I should merely just check that. And each time something new is made, I add it to the list of things that have been made and therefore will go in the graphs. And there we go. Okay. So what we can do now is create another mine, and let's see if that, it's a copper, so we need to do another one. We need the bauxite one. Was that 2 coppers? I believe that was 2 coppers. Yeah, it was. And we're already doing a copper, so that's not any good to us. There's the one we want. Right, so that'll do. And while we're waiting on that getting sorted out, we shall do a final Champions League rundown. And it's Rangers 0, Napoli 3, Chelsea 1, Salzburg 1, Real Madrid 2, Leipzig 0, Copenhagen 0, Sevilla 0. Man City came back to win 2-1 against Borussia Dortmund. Juventus 1, Benfica 2, Maccabi Haifa 1, PSG 3. And that is your Champions League update. And they're all just finishing off, they're all in the last seconds. And as you would expect, Haaland scored one of the goals for Manchester City. So now that that's all sorted out, we can check on this again, and then we can do some production and get our graph up again. We now have our 2 different things, which is good. We have our 2. That one's finishing off at the right point. Let's just wait and see if the other one does as well. And that'll be great. And that'll be definitely working better than it's ever been. So our initial changeover today has been, I would say, a success. We've hit our roadblocks along the way, as you always do, but we've got it sorted out. And off stream, once I've finished, I shall continue on with this and tidy things up. So we'll basically, hopefully, be coming to the end of the graphs, where everything is working as well as I intended it to work, and all the values are looking good. And this still doesn't do it right. And now, as soon as I got more than one, things start to go wrong. And I don't know why it's putting that there. I mean, that has to mean there's a value bigger than 120, right? Which it shouldn't be doing. It should not be returning values greater than 120. It just shouldn't. Right? So if we go to our 1 minute ones, there, we're getting some values now. And we should soon get something for the bauxite. There we go. So these values should start going up. And that is excellent news. And there you have it, guys. It's going well. Things are a bit tidier. This has still got that little bit of an issue here, right? But for the most part, it looks to be good. I can pretty much say this is good. Right? So this is excellent stuff. And as I said, when I'm off stream, I'm going to work on this, tidy it up a bit more, think of ways to make it more efficient, although it is more efficient now than it was. And we can see from here, I mean, I ran it last night, right? And I left it for hours. And I was making like 5 different products. And basically, the data point was up to like 500 of an array. Right? Now, while these aren't going to be, or these are going to cumulatively come to that number, at least when I'm returning and doing the searches, these are going to be split. Like, the data point seconds is never going to go to like 500, right? Well, actually it might. But it's going to reach a peak number of elements, right? And the same for the minutes, the same for the hours, and the same, well, the days can go up and up and up and up, right? Because that's just a cumulative, right? But when I'm bringing back the graph data, I no longer need to look through one huge series of data points. I'm just looking for the seconds on this one, or in fact this one I'm looking at the minutes. On the seconds, I'm just looking at seconds. At the hours, I'm just looking at this array, and then on the days, I'm just looking at this array. Okay? So it's going to make it a lot easier to bug fix, etc. because all the data isn't mixed and matched all together between hours, seconds, minutes and days. So if you've enjoyed the stream, hit the subscribe and like, and thank you for joining me, and check out the description for Discord that you're all invited to join, along with my Patreon, which you get your name on the credits of the game, and also my previous game on Steam. So thanks for joining, and I'll catch you at 8 PM Central tonight. Bye bye for now.